Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Revel Short. Take a look at the voice said kill today, and this is one that has been on my radar since I first saw it. And I'm not going to lie, a little bit of me was like, this might not work for me. There's talks of psychedelic kind of stuff going on. I've said before, that's not really something I go for in comic books or in any media, to be honest. I feel like it can be heavy-handed, done badly, mostly done to be like, ooh, weird visual effects kind of stuff. But it's Simon Spurrier. Really, really like his stuff. I mean, he's a writer who I will absolutely always pay attention to. Maybe not always love his stuff, but he's responsible for putting this idea of how policing would work in the anarchist utopia that was the X-Men comic books recently, and also is responsible for the best Hellblazer run of, I'm going to say, at least the last 15 years. Genuinely amazing writer. Love what he does, and more than happy to check it out. Turns out, this is a really, really good book, and although, yes, we are delving into a little bit of people taking mind-altering substances, it doesn't feel like that is as much of a part of the story as I think the marketing would have you believe, which I quite like. I think putting something out there which might be enticing to people, but then just delivering a story which is beautifully illustrated and wonderfully told, then yeah, I am in. And it is beautiful, by the way. Vanessa Del Rey, absolutely the right person for this one, because it is a Deep South noir story. And I think a different artist would handle this differently, but I think for the place it's set, it works brilliantly. If you're going to do any kind of Deep South noir in a city, you want somebody who's going to commit more to a clean line, to deep shadows and bright, garish colours. You want the neon and Venetian blinds and the cutting shadows. When you're dealing more with bayou kind of noir, commit to the nature of it all. Have it like slightly looser, a bit scratchier. Yes, you've still got fantastic three-point perspective in the wide sequences, wonderful visual storytelling, messing around with the world around it becoming part of the guttering between the panels, and really, really nice narrative flow, plus some fantastic colours. I can't remember the colour's name off the top of my head, but really commits to a very nice, deep and rich colour palette, to the point that it almost gets into the hyper-real kind of territory, like the guy who did the lighting design for the movie Dread probably would really like this comic book, because occasionally some of the colouring doesn't feel like it makes sense if you looked at it individually, but as part of a whole, it works really, really effectively. More to talk about the art, I'm still going to keep talking about Del Rey. She does a fantastic job because the characters are superb as well. I was talking to somebody recently about how in American TV shows, not all of them and not everything within the TV shows, but quite often there's a lot more freedom of body types in masculine presenting characters opposed to feminine presenting characters. The conversation started because I was watching Poker Face and was complimenting them on having some FBI agents who weren't all pin-up models. This really leans into the fact that we're dealing with a diverse cast of people, and they all look how you would expect them to look in the real world. Not to say there are not some good-looking people in here, but it's a far more a swathe, a wide band of looks, and I really appreciate it for that. Del Rey does such a good job with it. One of the main antagonists we get is a Mimo style character. I'm using that like appellation kind of way of describing this because I'm a really, really big fan of Justified. This is a bit more Deep South Louisiana kind of thing, but you still have people rustling gators and you still have people making moonshine. It still feels very Appalachian to me. But the very hefty older woman who's in charge of a crime family is brilliantly done, because it could have been very easy for a inferior artist or somebody without somebody who's not willing to take the risk on it. It could have looked comical. She could have been the butt of joke because she was a larger lady. In this particular case, she looks terrifying. She looks intimidating. It reminds me of Terry Pratchett talking about the maiden, mother, and crow, and how the mother is actually a terrifying force, because yes, it is a nurturing figure in an awful lot of literature, but also your mum might be the first person ever to terrify you, and especially compared to Mother Nature, and yes, the giver of life, but also willing to destroy you and more than capable of doing it. It feels very, very apt for this character. I can't wait to see how she plays into the rest of it, especially because we also have a Louisiana woman of colour, pregnant character, who also looks absolutely amazing and does such good job of storytelling by the way she looks and the way she responds to the world by being pregnant. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. As much as I love the artwork, I'd have to say Simon Spurrier's writing is absolutely on top form here. He absolutely captures this noir kind of vibe to it, not quite necessarily going into the narration you're going to get in crime noir stories, in movies, should I say, but it still feels exactly like it should do. There is still an almost anti-cop kind of vibe to it. It feels very much like treading that line between law abiding and law breaking, looking at motivations, trying to figure out who the bad guys are, why people are doing what they're doing, playing with motivation rather than just going straight into it. And there are points where he could have done some lazy storytelling. There is issues in mental health and addiction, But one of the things I do love about him is his anarchistic outlook on life, and he toes a line quite nicely in never vilifying the conditions, but looks at the results of them and how people cope with them and how people deal with them. Brilliant storytelling from start to finish, and I'm so glad I put this on my list. I cannot wait for the rest of it. Only 4 issues, and I think I'm going to love every single one of them. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.